in motor, while some others mad. The people they vote for frustrating them bad. They just feel to cause them when they see them pass, or just take a big stone and knock down their ass. But I have a therapy I'm willing to share. Anytime the pressure get too much to bear, I have a new dance, it is the formula. Once you do it, I know you must feel better. So give me a minute or two, let me explain the dance to you. Just a simple demonstration, it is very easy to learn. Put your hand in the air like this, close your finger and make a fist. Let go your tongue, put it in the air. Wave it like you ain't care. Anytime you see them MP, do it for them to see. And if they ask you what that means, tell them the dance you're doing is one time. One time. I want all you to take a chance. Show them the one time dance. One time. One time. Put your thumb up and then balance. Show them the one time dance. If you hardly don't see MP, anytime you're checking me busy, Peter David always flying. Some people cannot see him. Gilbert we realize, like young people they be nice. Some of them are passing away. They forget to put them up there. Put it up your thumb. Put it up your thumb. If they treating us like this, one thumb for qualis. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. When they treating us like that, one thumb for Joe Gilbert. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If they treat us like lavas, one thumb for the. Anytime they fret you, really get you vexed, make you feel you want to cut out your index. You just have to lead them, do their stupidness. Don't make it a problem, just go and practice. Then give them the one time if they wouldn't take it light. Showing everybody they cannot unite. And when you hear they talking about group of four, that is the time that you have to dance some more. They behaving power hungry, like they want leadership quickly. The way they get in on a show, they can't wait for Tilly to go. They're so embarrassing, and they petty quarreling, fretting you to the max. The dance don't help you relax. All in from the media, they cussing one another. This stupidness reminding we of October 1983. One time. If they wouldn't pull up their pants, show them the one time dance. One time. Put your thumb up and then balance. Show them the one time dance. If you find the fact is feeling, only IMF they studying. They made the country in deep shit. So they're trying to fix it, but they make that mistake before. 92, 93 and 4. NMP always got in and giving them the rubbish to clean. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If they wouldn't understand, one thumb for Tillman. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If you want to push it up, one thumb for Nazimbok. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If they wouldn't stop this thing, one thumb for the skin. They could try the ocean, nobody would know. Their public relation is so bloody poor. Wouldn't tell people nothing, wouldn't blow their trumpet. And that is enough to get a man upset. One tongue to give them if you find they lapsing. All kind of NNP they high up in thing, trying their best to make them unpopular. Look what they do with the old people water. Them fellas supposed to be proud, yeah they can see the light. What I am saying in a sense, education not common sense. You get in a problem when you see traitors around them, and you still do not know why the hell they don't make them go. Anything what they say, they leaking it out right away before they make a decision. If they on Alan Campbell program, one time, time to take them out of their trance. Show them the one time dance. One time.
For there is a wind of change, it blowing through the Spice Island.
And to the people, Mr. PM, don't play with the Grenadian people, cause the wind is turning around. At all, like all you did, only plan how to win.
Good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name's Sheldon Scott, here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. Of course, just making sure everything is working properly. In case you're not hearing me properly, give me a shout out, yeah? I know I'm hearing me properly. I'm seeing the signal inside here properly. So assume that you are hearing me properly.
So I said,
the wind of change is blowing in the next direction.
man, the wind of change is blowing back where he came from. Hear the people out on the street. We want kids, we want kids. Man, they say they're tired, they can't take it. We want kids, we want kids. All you know, all you lie and cheat. We want kids, we want kids. But payback is a son of a hole. We want kids, we want kids.
And indeed, let me say a special good night to you, Neela, Namara, Zela. Yeah, good night to you, Zoe. Good night to you, Xavier. And Adejon. Good night to all of you. A special belated happy anniversary to you, my good friend. Is Anne-Marie? Yeah? Anne-Marie, yeah. A happy belated anniversary to you.
Open your eyes, sir. Listen to us, sir. We healthcare system, well, that's in array.
Hope that you had a wonderful day yesterday and a wonderful night.
Well, that gone up sky high, too high, too high. CCC coming back, that was a lie. Big lie, big lie.
All right, let me see who is on the YouTube, huh?
See, I meet a man when he pass. They say they can't wait for another year. Keep playing your deaf and all.
Agnes Henry, Savage Gold, Queen Veronica Lewis, Lona, Lolo Williams, Francis George, good night to you. Hope everything is going okay. Debbie Seals, good night, my dear. Nice, yeah. Ashma Charles. Alban Harris, good night, bro. Sandra Joseph. Yeah, my Lucian people are up in the house tonight, yeah.
Like your cabinet brain lock in the vault. It looks
Carl Jones, good night to you. Kathleen Ledlow, Phyllis Mitchell, Errol Bonaparte, Lishra Abraham, Maud Martin, Trajan John, Vanessa Lalji, Wilfred Antoine, Velma Pascal, yes, Anne-Marie Celestine Grant. Again, good night to you, huh? Janice Mitchell, baby daddy.
They know, so I said you will.
Yes, baby daddy, they need to press the like button.
Man, the wind of change, it blowing back where he came.
Gemma Warwood, good night.
On the street, we want kids.
Devin James, good night to you. Jackie Raymond, Shirley and James, good life. Yeah, Faithful and Hallie Douglas, Adrian Watson, Mrs. Watts, good night. Patsy Frank, Arlene Fletcher, Osbert James, Claude Abraham, Natalia Johns, Kathleen Knights, Earl Benjamin, Dolores Redhead, Carib Spice, Rodney Barry, Jenny Samuel, John Stafford, Teresa Joseph, Anthony Mona, Ron Julian, Christine Otley, Hermina Batiste, Eliza Bernard, Shamaine Ragbasing, Clive Raymond, Jada Benjamin, Merle Patrick, Edmund Kelly, Stephanie John, Maria Noel, Jacinta Livingston, Cindy Thomas.
Listen to us, sir. We healthcare system, well, that's in array.
Deborah Laborde, Michelle Alexander, Alcy Peters, Ann Andrews, good night. Henry Shaitan, Jerome Lewis, Red Girl Pascal, I'm not sure that I shouted you out as shouting you out again if I did.
People now they living like bad. Friend to see a meet a man when he pass. They say they can't wait for another year. Keep playing your deaf.
On the Facebook, Dennis Fabio, Devon Hayward, Landon Jane, Yolan Mitchell, and hey cuz, what's up, adorable Kathy? And yeah, Kathy Pope, good night to you. Kathy Albert, right. Good night to you, Kathy Albert, good night. Glenda Robinson, McLean Mitchell, Sherry Lambert, Pamela Hackett, Teresa Buddy Frederick, Esther Lynn Lett Davis, good night to you and your husband. Glenda John, Donna Langdon, Denise Fabrio, Charmaine Ragbasing, Marianne James, Phyllis Ramsey, Jill Williams, good night, how you doing? Linda, Imelda Francois, good night. Teresa Joseph, Claude Abraham, Enid Decoto, Cicely Celestine, and I see Teresa Gill there, Sonny Isle, Norma Roberts, good night. Gillian Pascal, is Gillian Prescott, sorry. Yeah, and let me see who else is there. Right, so good night, Etta Batiste, Evelyn Narayan. Good night to all of you on the Facebook. You know, yeah, I wonder, boy, because I think sometimes people just feel you're afraid and all kind of thing, you know. Let me just remind them of something here. Good night to those of you listening via 92.9 out there in Sister Isles. 94.9 We Noise Radio. Well, let me shout out while I could shout out just now.
What's this voice I hear of people in despair, wanting me to sing about their suffering, people struggling, a struggler like me. Those who need to hear, how much do they care when they driving past those windows tinted glass? They look out, but they refuse to see.
My Canada squad, good night.
Your desire.
Calgary, Alberta, Toronto, Montreal.
Be impacted by a mere.
I've never been to Canada. Maybe I need to, yeah.
The one they calypso king to be a liberator. Alright, give me melody.
Yeah, I think I'm getting used to it now.
Voice and I will go there.
And folks, the phone lines are open. It's the midweek meditations.
Me alone, I would not dare. Oh no. The pleasures of life are all I've been living for. But you want a bold-faced singer?
Yeah, we am afraid. Send me. There's somebody to talk, send me. I go talk, yeah. Can't sing, I go talk. Yes, indeed, folks. It is now 14 minutes after the obvious time to get into the conversation. Now, folks, I was sitting there today and I started receiving some messages from various people. And I mean, it is amazing. It's amazing, yeah? The Public Service Commission has asked public servants, people who are working within the government system, to stop posting their personal opinions to social media. Public servants, I think I'll need to tell the Public Service Commission where to get off, eh? You have a constitutional right. Let me repeat. You have a constitutional right. Let me say it a third time. You have a constitutional right to freedom of expression. They cannot, no Public Service Commission, whether it's under the NNP or the NDC, can stop you from your freedom of expression. Read your constitution. Go in the government printery and get a copy. Yeah? It's a nice little book. Get a copy of your constitution and read the Constitution of Grenada. You have a freedom of expression. The only time when that is restricted is your freedom of expression is restricted in a situation where it may cause, for instance, you may be interfering with somebody else's constitutional right. So your freedom of expression, your freedom to say this is what you think about this issue or that issue, your freedom of expression does not allow you to state things that are false about an individual, for instance. Yeah, that is why somebody could say as they give you a lawyer, right? You know we just talk here. They give you a lawyer. You have to go and defend yourself in a court of law because you have made statements that are patently false about someone. You call somebody a old crook or a thief. Police never investigate them. Police never arrest them. But you out there making statements that the individual is a thief. Now, if the individual is so minded, you can find yourself in a court of law and you would then have to present your evidence to prove that said individual was detained by the police for being a thief. You would have to present your evidence in a court of law that said person was convicted and found guilty. You would have to present that evidence. Outside of that, if you go to court for making such statements, you can find yourself on the wrong side of the judgment and having to pay significant amounts of money to an individual for defamation of character. Yeah? So you have freedom of expression, but your freedom of expression ends where the next person's constitutional rights begin. That said, the Public Service Commission has rules that people have sworn to and signed to. But it seems as though the rules only apply to certain people. So it appears that if you, and I'm just putting up the circular that was sent out, circular number 13 of 2024 from the Chief Personnel Officer, the Public Service Commission, to the Secretary to the Cabinet and all permanent secretaries and heads of departments. And it says here, and they have the reference number as Public Service Commission 147, 28th of March 2024. Use of social media by public officers. And for those of you that are listening instead of viewing, the Public Service Commission has been made aware of social media posts made by public officers which have the potential to bring the service into disrepute. In this regard, I have been directed by the Commission to advise public officers to avoid making posts on social media which can reasonably be determined to be of a nature which will bring both themselves and the public service into disrepute. The Commission thus hereby requests all public officers to be responsible in their pronouncements made via social media and other broadcast media. Consequent to this circular, the Commission will take action as deemed appropriate should it be brought to its attention that officers by their posts have brought both themselves and the public service into disrepute. I shall be grateful if this circular is brought to the attention of all officers who are required to sign a copy of same to indicate that they have read and understand its contents. Kindly return the signed copy to this office by the 20th of April 2024. So those copies had to be signed by all the staff in the different ministries and departments and returned earlier this week. We're on the 24th now, yeah, on Friday gone, or this earlier this week, sometime the 20th. Whenever the 20th was, it had to be returned by then. Now, under the new National Party, you had an individual in the public service by the name of Finley Jeffrey the scholar. Finley Jeffrey said all sorts of things about the government. Did you ever hear, let me repeat, did you ever hear under a Keith Mitchell-led administration, or even when somebody else was acting as Prime Minister, if he stepped out of the island, did you ever hear of an instance where Mr. Finley Jeffrey was dragged before the Public Service Commission because he sing a calypso and he say all kind of thing about the government? Or he brought the government or the department that he working in into disrepute? You ever heard anything like that? When he was making all sorts of statements while he's still working within the public service, did you ever hear the Public Service Commission being weaponized against him for any of the statements that he made? In fact, he was rewarded because he win how much crown based on the amount of things he could find to say about Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell and members of the new National Party, myself included. So he win crown on doing exactly what they are asking. And remember, he right now is a permanent secretary. So this letter is being sent to him as a permanent secretary to pass on to other people within the ministry to say, don't do what he has been doing. Yeah? And it's not like he ain't going and sing a calypso this year and attack the same people he accustomed attacking again. And no one is saying that during the period of the new National Party that he should have been reprimanded or he should have been brought up. It just shows the difference in the new National Party as compared to this NDC. They seem to be afraid of people speaking their mind. They seem to be afraid of people holding opinions. They seem to be afraid of people exercising their constitutional rights to speak on issues and to give their views. So they are weaponizing the Public Service Commission. And we had this conversation before, you know. Remember, these are the same people that passed out the set of letters to all the people within the public service saying that they're not supposed to speak on this and they're not supposed to speak on that and all sorts of things. You ever heard of those things? People, you ever heard of those things taking place under a new National Party administration? My good cousin Beast, Raymond Matthew, yes, it's my cousin. Raymond Matthew, the Beast, was a police officer and used to say all kind of thing about the government. Used to say all kind of thing about the Prime Minister. At a point in time, he was one of the senior officers in charge of the Prime Minister's detail. Yes, the same Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. And he still write calypso after that about Dr. Mitchell and the new National Party and say all sorts of things. You ever hear that he was reprimanded? You ever hear that he didn't get promotion and all sorts of things? Nobody is saying that he didn't have a constitutional right, a freedom of expression. And so I would say that a lot of what he and Scholar used to say back in the days was very nasty. Yeah? And I would believe unfortunate and unfair. But they were allowed to say it. No Public Service Commission was calling them in. The High Command of the Royal Grenada Police Force wasn't saying, well, you're not going to receive this promotion, you're not going to receive that promotion, and so on. In fact, in the case of Finley Jeffrey, the scholar, he did not become a permanent secretary under the NDC administration, you know. It was the same Dr. Mitchell that he sing on for years. The same Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell that he sing on for over 2 decades. He's been singing on Dr. Mitchell. That elevated him to the position of permanent secretary. Name one other country where you would have an individual that does what he did and would be able to get the same type of promotion. But yet still, they're trying to paint the new National Party and Dr. Mitchell as the wicked ones, and who in office now as though they're some kind of saint. These people who are in office now, the present administration, seem to have a very serious problem when people speak their mind. You hear all kind of statements. At a point in time, I hear they wanted to go for Jenny. Yes, they wanted to go for Jenny Simon at a point in time. They'd make up their mind, yes, they had to pick her up, where she get that information from, and all kind of thing. It's somebody that had to talk sense in one of them head and say, oh, you're crazy, I'll go for Jenny. They should have tried. They should have tried. Yeah? They should have tried to find out what's going on. She was speaking her mind. One of them. Now here's a certain advisor. Go and pick up. Go and pick up. All you need to pick up. How she get that document. Yeah? Now here's a certain advisor. I ain't calling name. I ain't whistling. Yeah? But these individuals seem to have a problem with freedom of expression. And I just used 2 examples within the public service. You have a nurse by the name of something Joseph that is there posting the most nasty things about the new National Party every single day on social media. If they don't put it on their page, they go in under other people's posts and say all kind of nasty things. A nurse, she's within the public service of Grenada. They ain't talking to them and tell them don't do that. They ain't talking to them and tell them don't do that. But the people, there are many other instances that I could call out that I have screenshots of, because anytime I see one of them, one thing I tend to do is I take a screenshot. Whether off my phone or off my computer, I always take a screenshot. So I ain't saying that just so. There are many instances. So let them just best know when you touch one, you touch all. That's all I'm saying to the Public Service Commission. That's what I'm saying to the Public Service Commission. Because and they could sue me if they want, the Public Service Commission has been weaponized against any worker that is not directly aligned with the NDC administration. In fact, as far as I am concerned, all of them should resign and go. They should resign and go. You have the Public Service Commission over the past few months calling people in, accusing people, all kind of thing. No evidence, wrongly accusing people of stuff, calling them in and trying to berate them and dress them down. All sorts of nonsense taking place. Again, folks, did you ever hear? You have union leaders under the New National Party, rank and file people within the public service. You ever hear the Public Service Commission call them in? When before election teacher Jude was making, yes, Judas Jude, was making all his statements about no vote for NNP and NNP wicked and NNP this and NNP that. When he was making all the nasty, disgusting statements before election, did you hear the Public Service Commission under the New National Party call him in? Did you see they call in any of the teachers who was on social media saying all kind of nasty things? Did you see they call in any of them that was actually even calling in to radio programs and saying all kind of nasty things about the government? But now, the shoe on the other foot now. And all of a sudden, is they need to find a mechanism to stop Grenadians from talking. Grenadians, if all they sit down there and take it, they'll go rest more on all you. Because remember, don't feel I forget the Data Protection Act, you know. They have it there. It is in place. And they can weaponize that in the same way that they're trying to use the rules of the Public Service Commission now and weaponize that against workers. Whenever they're ready, because it hasn't been assented, but it's there. Whenever they're ready, that Data Protection Act, they're going to weaponize it against, well, you know who. They're going to weaponize it. And now tomorrow, they are so in a hurry that tomorrow they are going to the Parliament with the Electronic Telecommunications Act. They're going to Parliament with that tomorrow. As I have already said, and I don't really want to go into too much details because I think it's important for it to be ventilated in the Parliament first before we have a significant discussion on it, way past what I've had so far. So I'm thinking that probably Friday night we'll do a serious focus on it. But I'll speak about it tonight, yes. But I think we need to do a serious focus on it on Friday night. Because I'm telling you that as far as I'm concerned, I know. I could tell you what they're coming in Parliament tomorrow, you know. I don't have to even go in Parliament and I don't have to put on my computer to listen to them tomorrow. I could tell you what the government side going and say in Parliament tomorrow. One, that this bill was drafted by ECTEL and that the recommendations in the bill come from the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority. I know why I'm just fumbling over the word telecommunications these last 2 nights. But the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority, ECTEL, that is the body that covers about 5 different countries in the OECS when it comes to issues of telecommunications. Yeah? So they're going to tell you that that bill was drafted, and it was drafted even before they came to office. That is not the issue, you know. Yes, the bill was in existence before they came to office. But the bill that was there and what they're bringing to Parliament tomorrow are not the same thing. In January of 2022, before the general elections, ECTEL held a ceremony in St. Lucia where they discussed this particular bill. They launched it basically. I think at that point in time, 1 or 2 countries had already signed on. And they launched it at that time. And discussions were taking place with different countries of how they would tweak it to suit their individual territory. In other words, not word for word what ECTEL give you means that is what you're going to your parliament with. Your country would change 1 or 2 things in it. And in this particular bill, there's a problem when it comes to the definitions. Some of the definitions are so broad in scope that they will allow them to be able to shut down programs like this, programs like Simon Says, well, you don't have to worry too much about the extension and independent talk because they are taking place in a radio station. This program is not taking place in a radio station. And by their definition, what I am doing here is broadcasting. They made no exemptions when it came to podcasts like this, if you want to call this a podcast. They made no exceptions. Nowhere in that bill, and I challenge them to show me anywhere in that bill that makes an exception to programs like these. So it's the Jenny, it's the Prince, it's myself, people who do programs like these that may or may not be broadcast through a radio station. The broadcast through the radio station part is not a problem, but the part of us broadcasting otherwise, that is a problem. And if they think that I going to ask them for any license, well, prepare yourself from now because I'm not doing it and I will continue to do the program. Let me just make it absolutely clear. Tonight, the 24th day of April 2024, I ain't coming for no license. Yeah? So go tomorrow and stand up and say, oh, they're misinterpreting. You all are not the ones to interpret. No, let me explain something to you, folks. When Parliament sits and it puts a law in place, the law is then open to interpretation by the legal minds. In other words, a lawyer will argue that this sentence means yes. Another lawyer would argue that this sentence means you have to do something. And yet another lawyer may say, okay, you may do it or you may not do it. So it leaves certain sections open to interpretation, and interpretation based on the circumstances. There are some laws where it states straightly, this is what you do. There are some that leave it open to interpretation. In the case of this bill that is being taken to Parliament, it leaves a lot open to interpretation. It leaves open to interpretation what is a broadcast. So this is a broadcast that's being done through telecommunication means, so that is being broadcast. Yeah? They know, for instance, that Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell has said that he's about to start a podcast. How all of a sudden, when he made the announcement that he's going to do a podcast, they rush into Parliament with this particular bill. And they're rushing so much. You know what they're trying to do? They actually want to make this into law over the weekend, you know. By Monday, they want this as law. Because usually, you all know it, you all follow Parliament. Yeah, the listeners here, generally you follow Parliament, or you would know that if there's a sitting of the House of Representatives today, that usually you would have a sitting at the Senate the following week. I'm seeing a notice somewhere there, like if they're having a Senate sitting taking place. Wait, good night. I'm seeing like they're having a Senate sitting taking place Friday. I need to confirm. One of my good friends messaged me and confirmed for me. I really want to believe. I don't want to believe that that's what they're trying to do. They're so in a rush with this particular piece of legislation that they're going to do it back to back, that the House of Representatives is going to meet tomorrow morning, and then on Friday morning, the Senate is going to meet. And then by Friday night, that is going to go to the Governor General for her to sign. And once she's signed it, they could gazette it over the weekend. They can gazette that on Friday. They could gazette it on Saturday. They could gazette it on Sunday. Once it's gazetted and the Governor General has signed and they give an enforcement date. So the enforcement date is as of Monday the 29th of April. Or it's as of Wednesday the 1st of May. Once they give an enforcement date, that's the date that that law is in effect. And it means that anybody that is in contravention of that law, therefore, needs to get themselves regularized and organized. Yeah? So I'm not sure if it's that's taking place. That's what I'm saying. Somebody send a message. Let me know if I'm correct in what I'm seeing there. That a Senate sitting taking place Friday. I feel they make a mistake. I feel that Senate sitting is probably for next week or something. I want to believe. We, Papa. Well, somebody just said and tell me, yes, it's Friday. Well, I hope it. Bonje. Well, why they rushing so? Because Dr. Mitchell says he's going to be doing a podcast and that they can actually use this, that he would actually have to get a license to do this podcast. But you see, this law is also so broad. And again, as I said, I won't be going in detail tonight because Parliament is tomorrow. And from what I'm hearing now, Friday as well. Right? Oh, the gun amnesty goes into effect on the 1st of May. Okay. We'll talk about that in a little while. Why as soon as Dr. Mitchell say, and then you're hearing, understand the story, Grenadians. Understand what is taking place right in front of your eyes right now and within your hearing. That as soon as Dr. Mitchell say he doing a podcast, as soon as Simon says giving them a headache, well, we ain't even talking about talking points, but Simon says giving them a headache, that the classroom giving them a headache. As soon as those things are giving them a headache and they realize another one coming, Dr. Mitchell coming with his. The former Prime Minister is doing his podcast. He's announced it. As soon as that is announced, you hear, there are people who doing it the way that we're doing it. All of a sudden, you hear they're going on terrestrial radio. So they're getting the radio station. So they wouldn't have to go through this process because they will have their license otherwise. They will get their license easy. It's their people. Yeah? I mean, who's the head of NTRC here in Grenada again? Where is it? Vincent Roberts? Yeah? Yeah, Vincent Roberts. I think is the head of the NTRC. He was a former executive member. I don't know if he's an invitee right now, the NDC executive. But he's the person in charge of NTRC and so. Yeah, they will get a license. But you think if I apply, I get any license? Joke all you're making. Joke all you're making. Then, and I'm just mentioning this. I could pull it up and show you all. But I'm just mentioning this one as well. That they have also stated within that act. Within that act. Hey, I thought I had the act open. Why disappear? Right. They have also stated within that act that if you share confidential information during a broadcast, in other words, if somebody drop an envelope for me and I broadcast the contents of that envelope, I would be in breach. So you understand how far they're going? So that if I don't understand, I don't think people really understand and recognize that democracy and freedom of speech is under attack here. These are the same people that speak about Freedom of Information Act. You hear them making any move on that? You hear them mention that? You hear they go anywhere close to that? These are the same people that mention in Freedom of Information Act. And a Freedom of Information Act, instead of people having to drop wrong envelopes, and don't feel I don't have some pile up, but instead of people having to drop wrong envelopes at my front door in the yard and rest it on the car, kind of thing, instead of having to do that, it means I could simply write to a ministry and request that information. Yeah, I would have to write to a ministry and get the information, and they would have to give me, once it does not contravene a national security issue or a person's, like for instance, I wouldn't be able to write the Ministry of Health to get a person's private medical records. Yeah, that is private information. So there's a certain category where you have like private information, your medical records and those sort of things. But in the other context of contracts between government and individuals and so on, that would be information I could write and freely get. But they ain't rushing to do that. Instead, what they're rushing to do is shut up people. So that I'm very interested in hearing what they have to say in relation to this bill tomorrow, the Electronic Communications Bill of 2024, because they have the numbers. Just understand this, folks. They have the numbers. It will be passed tomorrow. It's not a situation where it will not be broadcast or it will not be passed tomorrow. It will be passed tomorrow. So understand that. Don't get your hopes up that something amazing going to happen and it will not, at the end of the day, it will not be passed. They have the numbers. They doesn't listen to nobody. They have their evil intent. They are going to pass it tomorrow. They sit down right now and don't feel they're listening to this program. They're listening to this program and they're laughing because they're saying, you can say what you want. We passing it tomorrow. And it may not be a situation where they may attempt to weaponize it now. But they will seek to weaponize it when they think it's fit. And the act also gives the minister, without having to go back to Parliament, permission to make specific amendments. Most laws give you that. But within the power that they have to make certain amendments under this thing, they can create new offenses. And don't get me wrong, there are the majority of the electronic communications bill, nothing is wrong with it. The majority of it, nothing is wrong with it. I'll say that clearly. Because you have to update from analog to digital. And just now you have to update again from digital to AI, you know. So you have to update. You had the Telecommunications Act that was there since I think the early 2000s or somewhere there, or the late 1990s, early 2000s, somewhere around there. And that act dealt with the reality of what telecommunications was at that point in time. Yeah? That when a studio, for instance, is broadcasting to the transmitters up in the hills, that usually they would have to have two frequencies. So they have one frequency, which is a frequency just to broadcast up to their tower, and then that tower takes the signal and broadcasts it throughout the island. They would have two frequencies. So if you check under Ectel, sometime you realize you're seeing a radio station have two frequencies, and so on, you wonder why. One is to connect, the second one is to broadcast. Yeah? But we're in 2024. You don't need two again, you only need one. Because people are using the internet now, so you could set up your computer at the broadcast site, and you have your computer in your studio, and wherever you are in the world, you could broadcast a signal directly to that transmitter and so on. So the technology has evolved and the technology has changed, and due to that, you must update your law. So don't get it wrong. Don't feel it's just, oh, no Telecommunication Act, you're against it. I'm saying that there are sections there that can, and in my belief, will be used for mischief. Yeah? Sections there that can and will be used for mischief. Because it is too broad in its scope of definitions. It isn't specific. It doesn't say, well, okay, we are not dealing with the people who are on YouTube and Facebook and so on. It is not dealing with that. It says that once you are broadcasting via electronic means, we are broadcasting via electronic means here, you know. It's computers and digital cameras, and so that we're using a digital board. That is what we're using. We are broadcasting via electronic means, via an electronic network. So legally, technically, we are captured in that, but not only us. The Mikey Live, who does do look at broadcasts of different events and so on, from funerals to weddings to all different things, that not just capture it, but does a broadcast of that. Technically, let me repeat, technically, he's captured under this as well. Yeah? You have the TNR Communications, who do the funerals, and so nearly every day I see something pop up in my timeline, they're doing a funeral, or every other day I see something where they're doing a funeral or so. The Brendan Blazer Sharper Than a Razor. All of these people are captured under that. There is nothing inside there that says that these people are not captured, even if you say, well, no, even though the law says this, we're not going to do that. That's you. And I think some people doesn't understand that sometimes you have to do a law understanding that sometimes you're in, but other times you're out. So you might not have the intention. Suppose Sheldon becomes the minister with responsibility for communications. All you trust me with it, just make up all your mind. All you trust me with it, all you trust me with having that power to be able to shut down anything all you do. And that is how you have to look at laws. Not just that you're in office now and you're doing that and then you could utilize it how you want. You're not in office forever. Your days in office are numbered. They are numbered. Your days in office are numbered. You're not in office forever. Yeah? You've already spent 671 days in office. That day is that gone. You ain't getting that back. And I see they're boasting today. Let me just do a little aside. I'll come back to this issue. I see they're doing a thing today. And they're boasting. They create 600 jobs with K&M Solutions in Bolio with the opening of the new office there. K&M have been around for a while. It's not like they bring somebody new, but they assisted them when they came into office. They assisted K&M to do that, right? So that's 600. You've had more than 600 leave the education system between 2022 and now. More than 600. So you're still behind. Yeah? And after 670 days, that means that you have provided employment for approximately one person a day. In fact, not even one a day because it's not 650 jobs. And you all need to explain to people the 600 jobs will not become a reality until later this year. It's not 600 people going to work there tomorrow or next week. There's a rollout over a period of time, as was stated during the activity today. So later the year, but while you all talking about 600, after 600 days, the new National Party in 3 months had 2,000. So don't go boasting. You, Tevin, don't go boasting like all you do something that's so amazing. I am glad for the 650. And if I could add another 400 onto that, I will be more than glad. Nothing to do about politics. It means that more young people and people in general, because we always talk about young people, what about the middle-aged people looking for a job? So young people, middle-aged, whoever, they will be positively engaged. And then the spill off from that, from the people that might come around and so on and provide services, the busmen in that particular area who would be able to provide additional services. Wonderful. All well and glad for them. But it take only 671 days to do. Less than what it took the new National Party 3 months to do. 3 months, 2,000 young people. By the end of 1 year, 4,000 young people. So don't go beating your chest like if you is that gorilla that climbed up the thing in the movie day. It was again Godzilla. Not Godzilla. Godzilla was the thing. King Kong. They're beating the chest like King Kong. Oh, we create 600 jobs. Yeah? Then I see one talking about the Frock report. And oh, the Frock report is so this and the Frock report is so that. Listen, the Fiscal Responsibility Committee, they gave a report. Yes, they said that the agricultural sector declined in 2023 due to the bad weather. The weather, they had a lot of heat. Remember, we had heat waves last year and so on. Right? So you had a decrease. Also, the Ministry of Agriculture didn't spend the money that they had on agriculture. That's why they had to get rid of the person who was in charge of agriculture and just put him in, take out the agri and push him in culture. Yeah? But not just that. They spoke about more jobs. That is more jobs compared to 2022. Remember what took place in 2022. In 2022, the place was just opening back. The hotels were just opening back. In fact, the restrictions were lifted in early 2022. So if you're measuring jobs between 2022 and 2023, because this does not take into account 2024, we're in 2024. When you hear some people talking, you have to ask them questions, you know. So I see some people beating the chest. Oh, there was an increase in employment. Of course there'll be an increase in employment, dummy. Because in 2020 and 2021, people, especially those within the service sector, the hotels, the restaurants, the bars, etc., the tour companies, those people were sitting at home twiddling their finger. They were not employed. Only those in facilities that were being used as centers where people could go, and they were quarantined there for how much time it was. I think it was how much days it ended up. The first instance was 2 weeks, and it ended up a day, 3 days or something. For the people that were quarantined in those places, so you had a few people came back out to work in later 2021, 2022. Then later in 2022, when the restrictions were totally lifted, you had all these facilities opening back. You had the St. George University. I started talking about education increase the amount of money that came in for education. Of course, the amount of money for education going to increase. Remember again, in 2020, all the students take their bag and baggage and went back to their individual countries. You had plane line up on the Maurice Bishop International Airport. You had students line up past the American Monument going down the stretch, getting out of Grenada. St. George's University closed down, basically. And students went, they were doing some stuff online, but students went, they left Grenada to try and get back in their country, especially before the world closed down. And you had students from all over the world, they were trying to get back home before the world closed down. And you were talking about a point in time that you had the highest intake. You had around 4,000 or something, 3,000, 4,000 students that were at St. George University. So when you come with the Fiscal Responsibility Committee, trying to give you the impression that this government do something so amazing that it have more students at SGU, just tell the people and them who trying to push that narrative, they're talking nonsense. And come on, we are sense out here, you know, we ain't stupid. We know that in the year 2022, you said St. George's University just opening back so people start to come back. COVID is not as much a concern these days, so you have more and more students coming out into 2023. So it's obvious that you would see an increase in your figures as compared to the previous year when it comes to your attendance at the St. George University. That is only common sense. The same as when you know in 2022 you had a few cruise ships coming because COVID was still a concern. Remember what was taking place on cruise ships in 2020 with COVID. It was basically a nesting ground. So cruise ships wasn't running. In fact, some cruise ships have never come back out. They scrap them. The companies lose. They end up having to scrap the ships and sell them. But now you have ships returning. So obviously, your arrival numbers will increase. That is happening in spite of the government and not because of the government. So don't try to beat all your chests. Don't try to beat all your chests like King Kong. That, oh, the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Oh, are they doing such a wonderful job? In spite of and not because of. You're in the chair when it's happening, but you are not pushing the knobs to make it happen. It is happening because it has to happen. So I don't understand what they're going on with. But back to the issue of the Electronic Communications Bill. This bill is going to Parliament tomorrow. It will pass. Again, government has the numbers. It will pass. Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, from the last thing I knew, he would not be there because he's in Trinidad at that conference that he was scheduled to be at. So for whatever reason, government decided that they couldn't hold it 2 days earlier or whatever, because remember, Parliament sittings are not held on the whim and fancy of the government. At least they ought not to be. They should be held in consultation with the members of the opposition so that you have the best likelihood of everyone being there to make their individual contributions. Right? That is what is supposed to take place. Because the people of Grenada voted for everybody that's inside there. No, nobody can just get up and walk in Parliament and say, sit down and say, hey, put a nameplate there for me. I hear from today. Nobody can do that. The people of Grenada made a selection of these individuals to go to Parliament to represent their various interests. And as such, working together, the two sides should have the opportunity to say, this is the best day, that is the best day. Because this administration knew, they knew that Dr. Mitchell could not be there. They knew that. So they made sure they put it for that. And then it's a trend. Because they knew when he had the court case with the Attorney General, they put a Parliament sitting for that day. There were days before, there were days after. There was no legal ramifications in relation to changing the date, to say you could do it on another day, to say that you must pass a law by this point in time, or that the European Union going to blacklist you, or the Canadians have said that you need to pass this by the 30th of that month because you're going to be blacklisted. Nothing of the sort. But the legislation that they brought, they did not want to hear Dr. Mitchell speaking on it. They wanted to have the NNP team one down. Yeah? The other members are very capable, but they wanted to have the team worn down. They frayed Dr. Mitchell bad. So when it came to the point in time that he had the court case with the Attorney General, the ruling party made sure they put the Parliament sitting for that date. When they knew he had another court matter, they put the Finance Committee meeting for that day. They know he had to be in court and there was no way that he could not be in court on that particular day. They know that. The whole country knew that he had to be in court on that particular day. They went ahead and they put the Parliament sitting for that day. Because it's a Parliament sitting, but not in the normal, because the Finance Committee. And that was the meeting to discuss the finances that were going into the budget. So he would not have had to come in the budget and ask certain questions. He could have asked those questions at the Finance Committee level. Yeah? And he could have gotten clarity at the Finance Committee level. But no, they denied him that. And they make sure and they hold the meeting at a point in time that they knew he couldn't be. They also knew that Honorable Emlyn Pierre was going to do a medical procedure. And what they do, they put it for that day. So they know two of them can't be there. Dr. Mitchell couldn't be there. They knew Honorable Emlyn Pierre could not be there. Because they knew that a medical procedure she had to do. And all of you know it. You saw her with the cast on her hand afterwards. It wasn't something like she just say, well, I'm going and do a medical procedure. Some people just give her fake sick leave. We saw her with the cast on her hand. She had to do surgery. In fact, if I could remember correctly, during the budget debate, she still had the cast on her hand. And they knew that. And they put it for that date. So don't think that what is taking place tomorrow is something out of the ordinary. And they could go and say what they want, you know. Grenadians not stupid. Grenadians are not stupid people. They understand these things. They're seeing what they're doing. So they could try as much as possible to try and derail and to cover up and to obfuscate issues. They could try as much as they want. Grenadians are not stupid people. They understand what is going on. And when the time comes, as the PS say, one time. Folks, we open the phone lines. 440-7, I hear myself talking now. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to call and get on the inside. Yes, the phone lines are working properly. You can call us on WhatsApp as well. 440-7377. Yeah. You all ever recognize every time, let me pause this one. Every time I go to St. George, I meet people and they tell me, they say, Sheldon, I listen to you every night. I'm a silent listener. I can't call. And I will never be upset with any of them. I love each and every one of you that do that. Yeah, because you let me know, hey, I'm listening. But they can't call. You know why they can't call? Some of them are working with different departments in the government system. And they know, not that they believe in it, they know that this government is going to spite them. Either take away the contract, fire them, discipline them, because people end up in front of the Public Service Commission every week. So they know that this government is going to utilize one of its arms to spite them. If they're in tongue and they're talking to me and a minister pass or certain PSs pass and see them, we papa, they're in problem. You're in problem. By the time you reach back in the ministerial complex, you're in trouble. I've had the experience several times. Listen, this is Grenada. We are 100 and something thousand people. But if we are 90 something on the voters list, I think we need to check them figures. But they say we are 100 and something thousand people. Everybody knows people. There are people here that I went to school with. Believe it or not, there are people that I went to school in Trinidad with here. So there are people that I went to school with. My family is a very, very big family on both sides. My mother's family. I have one brother that probably have about 20-something children. So a lot of time you might see me speaking to somebody in one of my nieces. How about 36 of them? How about 36 nieces? So I will be in town sometimes speaking to somebody you don't know who I'm talking to. They might be working in the government, so you go spite them for that because they're talking to me. Something is wrong with speaking to me. You know what they're talking to me about. But you're looking to spite them. My family big. I could go in Carriacou right now, and every place from Petit Martinique down to the end of Carriacou, the southern end of Carriacou, I have family members living on my father's side. I could go in Carriacou and I could go to my grandmother's grave. I could go to my grandfather's grave. I could go in Springs and I could go to my mother's grave and my grandmother's grave. So I have a lot of family. You don't know who's my family. Some of them just be saying things, sit down right next to members of my family and don't even know they're saying it. But this is the reality. So people see you and they say, Sheldon, we're listening, but we can't call. Because if they hear my voice, I go end up in problem. Sometimes they look at road work. I ain't go get the road work contract because they hear my name on your program. Because these people spiteful and vindictive. I've even had several times my daughter receiving assistance or my son receiving assistance. They're going to SGU. And afraid that they try to pull the assistance away from them. So I can't call, but keep up the good work. I hear it every single day when I go in town. Sometimes I'm in town just for a few minutes. I go, I drop my son, I jump a bus and I go. You hear it in town, I hear it on the bus. I hear it when I come off the bus. People are afraid to speak and they continue trying to make people even more afraid to speak. Even more afraid to speak. Are we going to sit back and just let that happen? Are we just going to sit down there and say, well, yeah, let it get away with it, man? No. Those of us that can speak, speak. And don't be upset. Don't be vexed with somebody because they can't talk. When the time comes, even though you can't talk, know what you're doing. Know that when you go into that polling station, and when you are cleared and you go into that polling booth, and you have that ballot in your hand and you have that pencil in your hand, take your time and put the X in the right place to get rid of the people who are vindictive, to get rid of the people who you are afraid to talk. Make the right decision. You know that X had to go right in the box next to the house or the space, because sometimes they do have a box. Sometimes they just have a space. I've seen it differently. Sometimes they have the symbol and they just have a space next to it. Take your time and make your mark properly. Write to the correct symbol on that day, because the day is coming closer each and every day. This week is 1 week closer. The end of this month is 1 month closer. And remember, the voters list is out. Have you all been checking? Have you all taken the time to check the voters list and to make sure, hey, my name is there, or wait, now my name ain't there. How my name end up off the list? Or who is this person? I know I go to school with he don't live in Grenada. He not living in this area. This guy lives in St. Patrick. What is he doing registered in South St. George? I don't know him to be living in South St. George. In fact, he has not lived in Grenada for the last 10 years. So how come he just appeared and he registered? Something is wrong. Yeah? Or you see some. And you see and somebody say me, yeah, that information about increased occupancy is false. Most of the apartments are recording its lowest ever. And that's a fact. And that is true. Most of the apartments that you see in the south of the island that usually would have students, and so many of them empty, you know. Some that might usually have about 20, sometimes they have 4, they have 5. They're struggling right now to pay the financial institutions. So what that listener has just sent to me is true. This information from the FROC, you have to put it in its context. But some of them take it and they want to run with it. Oh, you don't see a wonderful report? The government doing what? Government doing good. Tell me that in 2025, when they have actually started a project and created some employment also. Tell me that. Something new. Yeah? Tell me that when you look at their first 650 days, and you look at the first New National Party. In the first New National Party, 650 days, over 4,000 opportunities for young people, and that's just under Imani as Imani trainees and so that they could go and they could earn a living and they could also be trained. Under the NDC, after 670 days, you're telling me 600 is what you're talking about? Ah, please, come on. 44073, are ready for some calls? 4407377 and 347-329-3101. Folks, tomorrow night we had a serious conversation. Eh? Nice, yeah.
So could someone try and tell me what is happening? Because yet them politicians keep wishing for the poor ones they are fighting, but not such a thing. Because every day when I make a pass by the shop, I could see the price keep going up on the poor ones back.
Yeah man, the immortal African teller, yeah?
Men that believe, and like no one they can break it, so they condemn me. Because every day when I make a pass by the shop, I can see the price keep going up on the poor ones back, and the wages like investment.
Imagine the New National Party not in office, so 671 days. Let me make sure my figures here. Let's keep a daily tab. Yeah, so the New National Party is not in office 671 days. All you want me to play clairvoyant and predict something? How much you want to bet at May Day? It's still the NNP that under attack, like if the NNP in office right now. We have a caller. Okay, we lost that caller. So let me try the other one. Hello, good night. Hello, good night.
Hey, Sheldon.
Hi, you're live. Go right ahead.
What's up?
I'm good, man. You go right ahead.
Yeah. To me, Sheldon, it seems like communist is creeping in slowly, because once they start to take away your freedom of speech, you're on the way, because that's what the communists do. You can't speak. You have no right to speak and condemn the party, and that's what's going on. Because if they start that way now, if that's where you're heading, that's the way I look at it.
Well, I still have to ask which type of communist, because in Cuba, you hear of things like the ladies in white and so on, and Cuba is a communist country, but you hear of dissenting voices being tolerated. Yes, they may from time to time, they pick up one or two, they put them in prison according to what they do, but they tolerate certain things. In China, you have dissidents, and so you have news media from the United States and so on contacting them and different things, and they're able to do that. So I don't know if it's a North Korean model they're trying to implement in Grenada, that nobody can talk other than that is straight inside.
But in China, remember the youth was trying to demonstrate in the field when they cracked down, and then what happened? Listen, that's the way it is, man. That's the way it is. They're doing it stage by stage, and if the Grenadian people don't open up their eyes, by the time they realize it's going to be too late, and if that's what's going on, that's what's going on. And and to me, I mean, the guy, the prime minister that we have right now, I look at him in the beginning. I said, well, maybe, a change may be good, but then after, sitting back and looking to how he operates, I looking at him, the first thing he did was to give a big tax break to the business owners and them. And
over $6 million.
Thinking that trickle down economics would have worked. That don't work. And that's what he did from the beginning. And I tell myself, once he do that, I see that he done that. He don't know what he's doing. Because he decided to give them a tax break, the business, the supermarket and all of that. So they're going to pass the savings on to the consumer, and that never happened. That never happened.
And that is true. That's when they spoke about reducing the freight at the port, and he spoke about that in the campaign. They go do that. But the only people that benefited was big business. Your family members here. It didn't trickle down. It flow up, but it didn't trickle down.
But that he thought it was, it trickled down economics. That's what he was trying. But that can't work, because how are you going to work with? I don't understand how this guy operates, though. I don't understand it. But I mean, you see, the thing is that in this time, we need a guy that have a lot of wisdom. And they say that Kid Mitchell was old, and they want new guys. But you see, under Kid Mitchell regime, I mean, I am not a Republican. I'm saying I'm not an NMP and another NDC. I'm an independent, right? And I'm not speaking on the behalf of nobody. I'm speaking on the behalf of what I see, right? So I want people know that definitely I am not an NMP and I'm not an NDC. I am an independent. So the thing is that with this new prime minister we have there, to me, he don't ready yet to run the country. He don't have what it takes. He don't have what it takes. And a lot of people just don't say anything because why? Because why? They're ashamed of the same NDC people. A lot of them don't say nothing because they're just ashamed. So the people right now have to open up their eyes, and this thing that he want to bring in the government, in the country, shutting down. You have to get license to speak. You have to get license to do this, for that. That by itself, that is communism to the fullest. It's coming. It's coming. But he just doing it in a smart way.
Yeah, these type of draconian things.
By the time,
go ahead.
You were saying something?
No, you go ahead.
By the time you catch up yourself, you will see. And if the Grenadian people just allowing the freedom of speech to be taken away from them, you can't criticize the government. Come on. Our government get criticism. Criticism is not a bad thing for the government. It's good, so they could open up their eyes and see, hey, listen, we're making some mistake here, so let me correct it. But they don't want that. With them, you ought to take it or leave it. We give you that, you ought to take it. You can't talk about it. And that's how they want to run the country. Take it or leave it. What we say goes. We don't have to answer to nobody. What we say goes. But remember, they must remember that the Grenadian people give them a contract for 5 years. And the 5 years contract going to up. The 5 years contract go up. And then the Grenadian people going to decide whether if they're going to renew the contract. It's a 5 years contract they have. So let them believe they're going to be there. It's a contract. It's a contract they're working on, and the Grenadian people probably give them a contract, and that contract going to up in 5 years' time. All right.
Indeed, my friend. Thank you so very much for your input, bro. Feel free to call anytime.
You too.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. That's the number for you to call and get on the inside. Or you can also call us on 347-329-3101. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah, let's see if they're coming with it on Friday. Yeah, let's see if they're coming with it with that same bill on Friday because my goodness. 440-7377-347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to call and get on to the inside of tonight's program. Let's hear from you. Yeah, as I say, sometimes I take the bus in the morning. Me and my son, we take the bus in the morning. Well, you all know Javon. So we take the bus in the morning. And nearly without fail, you meet somebody. If sometimes it's the bus driver, sometimes it's the conductor. From the time I come and they say, "Hey, Mr. Scott," and they start the conversation. Listening, listener doesn't call back, listening. Or you hear it from one of the passengers, they just touch you on your back. "Hey, Mr. Scott, is you in truth? I find that they look as you." Or they hear talk and then they say, "I know that was you in truth," but they wouldn't call, And you have to understand why. We have a caller online. Good night.
Good night, Brother Sheldon. Grenada, good night.
Good night, bro.
Yes, how is everything?
Well, we watching and see, bro. I ain't gonna say everything good. Everything is okay on this end, health-wise, etc., but we looking.
Right. So the question is, what if at the sitting of the Parliament tomorrow? Well, we know it wouldn't become law not until the upper house seat matter, and whether or not, because they say they would consult, they would have consultation with the people, etc., etc. The cart before the house at all times. Why didn't they consult with the people first, and then have a big symposium on the matter and hear the voice of the people? Because you see, democracy, and yet they still are championing and talking about democracy and people's participation, and at times local government for Carriacou comes up, and as if the world, when they're looking into Grenada, they are seeing this big kind of participation of people. The people's participation in Grenada reminds us of the revolution. Now, Brother Sheldon, and my dear listening folks, I could remember when I think it was 1979, just as the revolution came into existence, the torchlight, was it the torchlight or...
Yeah, you had the torch. You had the...
One of the newspapers...
I think it was the torchlight, yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't wrong, so I had to go on while you tell me.
Right. Informer came in late after. So the torchlight was shut down. That thing was the Honorable Tillman Thomas and some of the others like Winston White and those people like that are subject to correction that had been running that paper. And there are certain things that were printed and sent out. And Morris Bishop sanctioned the close down of that paper, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm feeling the breeze is blowing. And I'm feeling it like, way up in 1910, that cool breeze is blowing, that Grenada is returning. And listen to me, I know you are listening to us. Grenada is going to be returning to the days when you cannot say what is on your mind. You cannot speak. You cannot criticize your opponent. And Grenadians, I want you to take note. We've been warning you. You have what is called the Constitution of Grenada. Although when they pass that law, they would have to review or what is the right word for that? The Constitution, mm-hmm. Right? In that whatever you do thereafter becomes law, and you're subject to a penalty. Now, I want these people to understand the authority I'm talking about here. It is not a good thing to take people's freedom of speech from them. It is not good. The America set up the Jose Marti radio station is a counter radio station to counter the Cuban voice, the Cuban messages from going out, right, to the people that is in America. And I'm seeing the kind of similar thing is going to be happening to us in Grenada. Now, we want our programs, we want our radio stations to speak on the behalf, because you ask them questions from the Parliament, they're not answering. So is it a utopia that these people trying to build? You know, is it an anarchist government? Just we govern and we give the orders and you obey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to see what's going to happen tomorrow, Lord's willing. You know, and Grenadians, we are not to be frightened about this situation. We still have a freedom of movements according to the law of Grenada. Regardless what turn that law would take, we still can speak. We can speak. Mm-hmm. I don't see the reason why we cannot speak. Well, you ought to put everybody in jail. Everybody would have to go behind bars. Yeah? Yeah, and it's time for Grenadians to get up and let the voices be heard.
All right.
You know, they look at what happened with the Somora, and I will close. Is that the Somora document that has been signed on us behind our back, our faces, when we have our leaders lying to us and saying we didn't read it yet, and we don't want to infringe, we don't want to do anything that would take away the rights of our people and put us in a situation where we become subjects unto our friends outside. You know? So that is what I want to share tonight. We need an opening up, hearing people's voices speaking on those matters. I thank you, brother.
All right. Thank you so very much for your call.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And for those of you on the WhatsApp, I do humbly apologize. You all know the system changed. So, yeah, that part of it I still have to get accustomed to make sure that I always have the WhatsApp open. Yeah. So, hello, good night. Hello, good night.
Hello, good night, Sheldon. Good night, Doctor. Good night, good night.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. You're live.
Sheldon, I didn't think my memory that bad, but I think it was 2021 there, but Dr. Mitchell had put like $10 million at the GDB for the public workers that was on contract. Am I wrong or right?
What year you said that happened?
I think it was 2021. I can't, if it's 2021 or 2020.
There were some funds that were placed there for a loan program for contract workers within the government service, so that they would go to the GDB, they would access that, and I think it was up to a certain amount that they could get for housing to fix their house and different things like that. Yes. But I can't remember if it was 2020, 2021, or 2022. I can't remember the exact year.
Right.
It was done along with the other fiscal measures in relation to COVID.
Yeah, I just wanted to know because that was something that Deacon demonized, Prime Minister Deacon. He demonized that, right? Because he was talking about if they could get a loan, fine, fair enough. But he come and say, you're going to make these people permanent. That's one. Two, Sheldon, in 2013, in St. George Northeast and Northwest, the then NDC of the Tillman Thomas and Nazim Buck and all these old NDC members, they were accusing the NNP of what I call voter pardon. They were saying that the NNP was bringing over people from Northwest to Northeast. And these are people that were living in Grenada, and they were making noise about it. I'm hoping that the diaspora people is listening to this. They were making noise about that. They were saying, oh, you're living in Northwest, and they were bringing people in the Northeast to gain votes. That's what they're doing. And lastly, I hope people know that the gas price in Grenada right now, the gasoline price is $16.76. And nobody making noise, nobody protesting. That is amazing. Mr. Scott, my light bill go up by $50.
Well, the same
and I'm sure
hold on. The same on my end. You know. Mine has gone up by exactly the same amount, $50. I have my standard, you know, it doesn't go past a certain amount, but it's $50.
Nobody is complaining and saying, look what is going on in Grenada. Nobody's calling radio programs and saying, look, this is what happening. Something is wrong in this country here. These men put a veil over our mouths. Well, not nice because I talking about it. And lastly, I happened to listen to a program this morning where an ambassador had to call in a program to say to the program director or the host that don't make people believe that the question is from you. It's because of that question is there, of the government performance. Imagine that an ambassador had to call a radio program. That's the kind of level that party or that administration had to stoop to. They had to call radio programs to gather their supporters to praise their government. Shameful. Mr. Scott, have a good night.
All right, my brother. 440737. Yes, I think I got that one. Hello, good night.
Good night.
Hi, good night, caller. You're live. Go right ahead.
Yeah, the laws that this government are going to pass in tomorrow, when they would have to vacate the offices that they hold, what are they going to do with these laws? Because these laws could use against them,
And caller, that's the point I was making earlier. Anytime you're putting a law in place, understand that you're not in office forever. Parties come, parties go. Governments come, governments go. And if you put it in place with certain elements left in it, understand, especially when your NDC that does take a one term, that very soon it could be used against you.
That's right. So I hope they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, caller. Thank you so very much. And I always like when callers re-emphasize the particular points that we have made in the program and so on. Thank you so very much, caller. And let me see, there was somebody else was trying to call me on the WhatsApp. I will call back because I don't know who it is. But let me try to call back because they have been trying. It's my fault that they were not getting through. So I do hope that I get them. And I think I have gotten them.
Hello. Good night, Mr. Scott.
My jacket man, you that man?
Yes, sir. Good night.
Night, bro. Go right ahead. You're live.
Yes, well, I was on the program one day last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I made my point about myself, but what I'd have to say is, in the gang, they had sent home 3 of us on the same day. They sent home the foreman, who was a woman, a single parent woman. She's 37 years of age, and she's competent enough to do her job in the right way. And they sent her home. And they asked her to work under the person who they is putting in charge, so she refused it. They sent home another young lady. She's a married woman, a young lady. They sent her home as well. So they sent home 3 of us in the gang. And I made a statement about the road as well. Mr. Scott is not to exaggerate, but the road have 2 lights. In the good part of the road, there is a light right in front of my door. But I don't need light in front of my door. Where the light is here, there is 6 what have light right here. And the major part, the bad part of the road, where eyes falling down every time, doesn't have light. The good part of the road have light. There is only 2 lights in the road. And the bad part doesn't have a light. I went in NNP time, I went in Byland School and talk about it. I went in Lafayette School and talk about it. I went in Tabo School and talk about it. And up to now, we don't get it as yet. So the thing about it is, I've been victimized so I could talk because I've been victimized. And those people who afraid to talk, I don't know, but I would talk because I is part of it. So, Mr. Scott, I'm not pleading, I'm not talking for any plea or no pledge or something, but this is what is going on in the place. So I'm saying good night to one and all.
All right, my brother.
Bye.
All right, thanks. All right, folks, 440-7377. That's 440-7377. Let me see if I miss any more here. 440-7377. That's the number for you to call and get on to tonight's program. It's now 30 minutes after the hour of 9 o'clock on the Spice Isle of Grenada. Yeah, I'm wondering, why is this government so afraid of Grenadians finding out what is going on with them? Yeah, why are they so afraid? Every time, I mean, the leader of His Majesty's opposition, former Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, he asks questions in Parliament after questions after questions. You either don't get an answer, you get a partial answer, all kind of nonsense. All sorts of nonsense. Either you get a partial answer, you get a... I mean, come on, man. Come on. They ask questions. I hear some kind of things taking place within the government service. I hear some kind of things taking place within the government service right now. You have to wonder. You really, really have to wonder. And then you have ministers who instead of focusing on getting the job done, we had the Honorable Emlyn Pear on with us last night. And I can tell you, the way she spoke last night is the way that I know she has worked ever since I have gotten to know her. That is the way that she operates. She ain't getting no back and forth and confusion. This is the problem. The problem is that the young men in Marquis do not have the sporting facility to utilize. They don't have it. In 2022, when election was taking place, the person who lose, same Dave, was able to go and hold meeting there with lights. It has deteriorated to the point now that the lights not working, the thing mash up or everything mash up inside there. But when election was hot, ask the people in Marquis if he wasn't able to hold a meeting there, if it didn't have lights and he was able to hold a meeting there. But now, when the MP, the person that the people of St. Andrew Southeast have decided that that is who they want as their MP, speaks about an issue that they have said is affecting them. You want to attack the people? You want to tell them that come on. Yeah? Come on, man. Seriously, that's how we operating? Let me see again. I turn away from the WhatsApp there. Let me get it here. Right. I think we have a call on the WhatsApp. Hello, good night.
Hello, good night, Sheldon.
Hi, good night, my dear. Go right ahead. You're live.
Sheldon, NMP not coming back in power, you know.
Why would you say that, my
NMP would
dear?
not come back in power.
But why would you say that, though?
Look at what's going on. Just look at what just was going on. NMP would not come back in power. I'm telling you.
But
And
why?
I can bet you that. I want us to bet NMP would not come back in power. That's just my take. Thank you.
No, but
have a good night.
No, hello. Don't go. Let's have a conversation. Hello. You see, no, you can't make the statement and go. We do not hold ignorant conversations here. This is not some of the other programs. We have a discussion here. So if you are making a statement, your statement must be based on specific facts that would lead to that particular conclusion. So there has to be A, B, C, D that leads to that conclusion. If what is making you go to that conclusion is that you believe that the present administration is going to attempt, and successfully so, to thief the next election, that they are going to pad the voter list, that they are going to victimize and terrorize the supporters of the NNP to the point where winning the next election on that, then all well and good. If you are basing the NDC winning an election on them being able to lie and that Grenadians, in your view, are not intelligent enough to realize all that they're doing, if you believe that Grenadians stupid and therefore the NDC would be able to fool them into voting for them, then all well and good. But I don't know, because you just run. You don't have the intelligent conversation. I don't know. Don't just run. You want to be able to go and say a call and you give him? Nah, we don't have that kind of stupidness here. We have a call online. Good night. Hello, good night.
Hi, Sheldon.
Hi, my dear.
This is the caller who just called.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She's an NDC.
But that's not
She's
saying...
the woman who put the bomb in Queen's Park to kill Bishop.
Oh, God.
She from Rose Hill.
Oh, God.
She name is Fiscal.
Oh, no. You want to put me in legal trouble? No, my dear. We can't do that. We can't do that. We can't call name here. I don't know about people put bomb to kill people. If you're going to say the name now, on this program, I ended up in legal trouble. So, love you, my dear. I love you. But I had to cut the call because I had to safeguard myself. You understand? And we had to safeguard the program. You understand? Nice. We have a call online. Good night.
Good night, Brother Sheldon.
Hi, good night. How are you doing?
Yeah, I just say, well, I have to call and chime in there because this thing seems to be a serious thing.
Yeah, it is. It is a very serious issue, and it needs to be ventilated. In fact, when the launch of this particular piece of legislation on the regional level took place in 2022, part of it was speaking of engagements with all of the different categories of people, the media, that the different governments would engage with the media, they would engage with the service providers, they would engage with all the people who are involved so that at the end of the day, people would have a say and a clearer understanding. This government, they meet with nobody and talk with nobody on this thing. They just go into Parliament with it.
But Brother Sheldon, what happened to our Constitution number 10? Except with his own consent, no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions without interference, freedom to receive ideas and information without interference, freedom to communicate ideas and information without interference. All right? Whether the communication be of the public general or to any person of or class of person, and freedom from interference with his correspondence. What happened to that? That has been suspended?
My brother, the amount of unconstitutional and unlawful things that this government is doing, if I start to list it, it's going to take at least another 4 hours. The amount of unconstitutional things that this government is doing and unlawful things, yeah? Going to take at least 4 hours. Take what I'm telling you.
Yeah, so, well, but what I'm saying, brother, it was okay during the NMP reign, when they was in power, it was okay for them to exercise those freedom, all right? To call on, remember COVID time when they go on a strike, they demonstrate and stuff like that. They don't want to go, they didn't want the thing to pass, right? And all this freedom they had, the government then allowed them to exercise the freedom as the Constitution has given. And now they come in and trying to put things to what? To shut up people? So what are we going back to now?
But I used examples earlier of people that said the most about Dr. Mitchell. They spoke about every member in the New National Party camp was under attack by these individuals. And it just showed the type of person that Dr. Mitchell is, that these persons got promotion after promotion after promotion. And these people never found themselves having to go in front of the Public Service Commission or anything like that. They got the promotion and they got the different things.
Exactly.
But under this administration, man, they only had to think. I mean, look at for instance, a person like Norman Gilbert. Mm-hmm. They just believe that Norman Gilbert is a New National Party supporter. He was placed in the acting PS position by the New National Party. They demote him.
Yeah,
You have Mr. Tafawa Pierre, who was one of the deputy commissioners, I believe it is, or assistant commissioners of police. I can't remember if it's assistant or deputy, and was demoted. You have several other people in the police force who were demoted. You have other people in different programs and so that were demoted. And simply because of their political preference, nothing to do with their performance. They cannot point to their performance and say that this person was not performing. But it's just because they want to get rid of these people.
Well, we'll see what will happen, because I don't think we are Grenadians, we need to sit back and take all these things. There comes a time where we need to do what we got to do, because, I mean, infringement on people's rights, I mean, come on, that is beyond. I mean, you had the opportunity to, you exercise yours, and now you want to shut people up. I can't see that happening at all, so they try it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed, my brother. But how are things up in St. Patrick?
Well, things going fine for the time, you know. Well, of course, feedback is not too nice for them, you know. Because all the promises, as you know, they make, you can't see nothing. They had come and have as they say, a consultation or just speak to give something about these projects like the breakwater and stuff like that. And what they come in and talk about is what already existed or what we had there. You know what I mean? So they have nothing, because their plan was they're going to do it. They're going to stop the thing. But right now, there is getting even worse. And no effort is being made. We don't have no serious consultation. And even to the extent, those people who had been demonstrating and about Dr. Kidd need to get that happen, and the NMP need to fix this and fix that. I don't say any that. I spoke to some of them, and some of them are high people in society, and I tell them I'm very disappointed in them. I have no problem with people going out and speak on things that needs to be speak about, what needs to be attended to. But at the end of the day, the government then had done what they're supposed to done. They got a contractor for a company from Jamaica came and did this survey, make the recommendation and design, and the New National Party had agreed on one of the designs and was down to go. Mm-hmm. And up to now, nothing is happening, and it's as usual. They would do it.
But let me ask a very important question, though. Aside from all of that, the consolidated voters list, inclusive of the new additions, has been out for this week. Asking a question, and I put in a challenge. I hope all you're looking through the list, Mr. Man. Don't tell me you are. Next thing I hear, that stories election day, you hear people voting I shouldn't vote. Mr. Man, that at this point in time is more important than anything else. Because you've got a limited amount of time to make a challenge to names that should not be there.
Yes, I'm aware of the law.
And I'm pretty
but
sure.
We will. Thanks for the reminder, and I'm happy that you're putting it out tonight, because people need to know that we need their assistance and the help to go through those things, and we will get through it.
Additional to that,
through it and make the necessary. What we need to do.
The margin in that constituency in St. Patrick West. Watch the margin, and don't be surprised that you see double the margin in voters that you don't know who they are suddenly appear on the list. Be careful. All right?
Yeah.
Just a warning.
Yes. Well, thanks for that.
All right, my brother.
You keep up the good fight, and keeping us abreast, and
yes.
And stand for your rights, and don't be frightened about that at all.
And as we leave, the lady had the thing waiting for you, down by NIS. You ain't going for the thing.
Oh, yeah. It's my fault. I'll be down tomorrow actually to collect some stuff, so I'll pass in.
Okay, great. All right.
Yes. Okay.
You enjoy the rest of the
night.
night.
I'll pass in tomorrow.
All right. Good. Bye. Right.
Okay. Take care.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah, but 440-7377. That's 440-7377. That's the number for you to call and get onto the inside of tonight's program. And as I just mentioned there, folks, if you are willing to lend your assistance, to one of the constituencies, the constituency that you are in, and the people who should be on the list, the people who should, I would say take the opportunity and check, take the opportunity and help. We have a call online. Good night. Hello.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
I'm calling from Guelph.
Okay, Guelph. Go right ahead, man. You're live.
Yeah. And I saw NMP coming back in power because the way this government handling this country ridiculously not accepted.
My brother, you're speaking to the converted. All right. Thank you so very much. But let me ask you a question, though. When last saw you see all your MP?
It's a long time we don't see that lady here.
Oh, goodness gracious. And okay, you're in St. John. One major project. What is one major project you've seen in St. John that has taken place since the individual who is holding that office has become the MP?
Well, no. Yeah, and another thing again I have to say, it seems as though this government is closing down Guelph because the gas station is closed down. They closed down a bakery in Guelph, and they closed the bank in Guelph will be soon closed down on the 1st of June.
So everything that making it a town going one by one?
Yeah, they asked us to cut two coconut trees on the bay in Guelph. And we cut the coconut tree for them to run the lines so long, about a year and months now. They asked us to cut the tree and they never do nothing about it again. They only ask us to cut the two bearing coconut trees. And they don't do nothing about it, no light. They don't put up no lights. It was just a big deal.
My goodness. My friend, I hope that Guelph sees a resurgence in some way or form. Yeah, I hope, because Guelph is one of my ancestral places. That's where my grandfather on my mother's side from, right in Back Street there. Yeah, that is how me and B
Oh,
set
yeah?
up family. Yeah, from right in Guelph Day in Back Street is where my mother's father is from. So that is why I always say to St. John people, I have special interest in St. John. Yeah?
So right on the beach I'm living.
Okay. You never know, we might be relatives too, but we go talk further. You enjoy the rest of your night, my brother.
You too.
All right,
bye.
wonderful. Yes, indeed. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. That is the number for you to call and get on to the inside of tonight's program. 440. And for those of you, I think I saw the overseas line blinking a while ago. I'm sorry. You can call back. 347-329-3101. That's 347-329-3101. I think we have a caller on the WhatsApp. Hello, good night.
Hello, good night, Sheldon.
Hi, good night, my dear. You go
Good
right
night.
ahead. Good night.
How you doing?
I'm good. You're live. Go right ahead.
Yeah. Sheldon.
Hi.
I just want to tell you, a lot of these NDC people and them, that is something they say in regular. NNP not coming back in office. But what I realized, my grandmother used to say, there is certain things you say and it's like a comfort to a fool. And that was gonna, because not she alone, you know, a lot of hierarchy NDC, a lot of educated jack donkey in NDC, that's the same thing they're saying. So when they meet you and you're telling them the truth, they're telling you, NNP not, that was ignorant, NNP not go back in office. I say, well, yes, I know you have a lot of things that comfort fools, and that is something I know that are comforting all you, but I'll go surprise.
All right, my dear. Thank you so very much.
Good.
And you're right. It is a way of emotionally soothing themselves. It is a way that you emotionally soothe yourself that, yeah, we're going back there, and we're going back there, and we're going back there. And they actually do nothing to, but go ahead, yeah. Even on NNP side, don't just take it for granted, NDC this and NDC that, and your NNP with it, no, do the work. Yeah? If they want to say they're going back in and all kind of thing, as I said on this program before, and I'll say again now, you can be the more popular party. You can have the larger base. You can have more people supporting you. But if you do not do the organizational work, and you do not properly on election day especially, execute your strategy, a proper strategy, you could lose. I've seen candidates who are more popular than the candidate that beat them. But the candidate that beat them out-strategized them. So they were able to get their voters together, organize them, and get them to go and vote on election day. While the more popular candidate, well, everybody like, me, they're spreeing for the day, they're relaxing. They just go in and look at a polling station, so on, they relax, they get licks. Yeah? So don't soothe yourself. Make sure that the work is done. It's nice to say what we have to say, but make sure that the work is done. We have a caller online. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Scott.
Good night.
Isn't it that you have to, it's law that you spend 12 months in the country before you could vote, for you to vote?
Not just in the country, in the constituency where you're registered.
Yes, well, yes.
So you need to spend, and as I said, I have all the documents, but I don't want to get into that and deal with other things. The night we're dealing with that, we have to deal with that straight. So you've got to be domiciled.
No,
you've got to be living there.
I got dealing with like a snake.
Go ahead, brother.
No. So all who that come and register there, we're going to make sure, and we have to make sure that we stop that. They could fly as much as they want, but we're going to stop them from voting.
Mm-hmm.
We could. There is ways and means of doing a lot of things. I say that all the time. And if all you're afraid to start it, I am going to start it. Remember Robert Mugabe. Remember Alexei Navalny. There are people name I could call and just take example from there, and we're going to deal with the issue as it comes. Have a good night, Mr. Scott.
All right. Thank you so very much. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. That's the number for you to call and get onto the inside of tonight's program. Lulu out there in Carriacou, a special good night to you, my dear. Oh, look at, wait now, look at paint the place pink up. I find all your Carriacou people do easy, you know. All of these, my people up in Carriacou, all you paint the place pink. My goodness. Oh, let me leave that alone. Not me on that tonight. Hello, good night.
Well, Sheldon, good night. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm quite fine. You go right ahead. You're live.
I have a quote for you.
Yes, go right ahead.
Excuse me. It says, when you're dead, you don't know that you're dead. The pain is felt by others. The same thing happens when you're stupid. So the woman that called and talked about NLP coming back in power, this is for her.
Well, the thing is, we didn't get...
Ignorancy is the most hardest mountain to move, and common sense ain't common.
Somebody told me there's no such thing as common sense. So
no, it's not common. It's not common.
All right. Thank you so very much, my brother.
That's my quote for you, Papa.
All right. Thank you. Oh boy, 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to get onto the inside of tonight's program. I see Carriacou people vex with me now. I talk about all kind of people. I don't talk about Carriacou, and I don't say that. And you see, there wasn't there when I talk about Carriacou. Carriacou people know I can. All you want Uncle Ba beat me. Getting strapped from Uncle Ba. You know. Hello, good night. Hello, good night.
Yeah, good night. You can hear me good, Sheldon?
Yeah, man, I'm hearing you clearly. You go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I was looking at a little part there. Well, my heritage from Guava as well.
Yeah, man.
Anyhow, it looked to me like a little dictatorship coming. But everything is scaredy cat. That's how we're looking at it there. From outside, I don't want Grenadians hearing my voice and say, oh, it's Major Mark calling in a Grenada, he know what's going on or what's not.
You had the accent, but you're Grenadian.
Well, I meant to ask you, what's going on with the Procurement Act? That Procurement Act that was supposed to take place.
The Procurement Act was passed, and so therefore I can't remember if it was gazetted as yet. I don't think it's gazetted as yet. So it has to go through the process. It must go through the gazetting. The Governor General must sign, and it must be gazetted and given an effective date that it is effective from. Oh. So I can't say that I've seen that last part happen. I have to double check that.
Okay. So that will be at the 100,000?
Yeah, no, it will be that. They have the numbers. They're going to pass it in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. There's no way to defeat them there. They're going to pass it. They're going to pass it.
Yeah, 100,000, when I calculate, is over 500% raise, you know. Whether you're allowed to do anything. You don't got to ask permission to do anything. So, boy.
Well, my brother.
As you say, the countdown is on. The countdown is on.
Yeah, I counting
down. The countdown is on. What people saying about people think that lady that call and put down the phone, they just coward people just thinking the countdown is on. It's a one trial thing. As a program I was listening to with a Jamaican lady there the other day was talking about the Barbados situation, because we got a situation here as well. But it's talking about how Keith Mitchell lost the election and stuff, and these people in they're green. And they're green. They're practicing. They need to do something. Go to political school or something to understand that the majority of people in the world are poor people. Can't forget poor people and expect to win an election, because they're going to be out just now. Don't worry yourself. Have a good night.
All right, my friend. Right. Thank you. You have
Keep
a good
up
one.
the good work. Keep up the good work. And this thing that coming, you will find another way. You will find another way to
I'm bothering with them on that.
Yeah, you will find another way, because can't shut up people. People entitled to have freedom of speech. In any part of the world, people are allowed to speak. And I will be looking a lot They have people that speak a lot of things about nastiness and this and that. And there's the same people that backing them up. So as you say, when they were in opposition, no one had problem with them speaking. You're allowed to speak, say what you got to say. Sing your calypso, do as you like. So it is what it is. So just keep on the struggle and know that the day is counting down.
Okay, my brother.
All right, my
Thank
brother.
you. All right, great.
Enjoy your night.
Same
And
to you.
accept my sympathy with Turkey. Accept my sympathy, brother.
Okay, brother.
All right.
Thank you. Yes, indeed.
All
Yes.
right. Yeah.
And I think we have another caller online. Hello, good night. Hello.
Good night.
Hi, good night, my dear. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
And I think you might be our final
I heard
caller.
it.
It's 9:57, so I think you're our final caller for tonight. You go right ahead.
I hear you talking about all the Carriacou people playing easy. Any man want to be sent to the crazy house, so they bring the crazy house right in town for him.
When was the place painted pink? When did that happen?
Well, I observed that from earlier this week, they started painting it in pink. I mean, the pink is a nice color, but the shade of pink is nice, but the pink house in the middle of town, when I saw the pink, the first thing that came to my mind is that of the pink house in Mungie. Anyway, have a good night.
Thank you so very much, my dear. Carriacou people are easy, you know. Well, we didn't say it. The individuals say the thing for themselves, so maybe they will be very careful with what statements they make from now on. Yeah? Folks, that is all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It has been wonderful being here with you. I want to thank each and every one of you for your input tonight. And indeed, folks, yeah, don't forget the donations. Don't forget the donations. Yes, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, from time to time, we have to change things inside here. We have to upgrade things inside here. So small things at this point in time. So whatever it is, 5, 10, 15, 20, if you can give more, right? The link is there on the page, so you can go ahead and donate. So folks, in everything you say and do it safe and secure. Want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. Tell a friend, tell a family member, two things for tomorrow. One, you have Simon Says. I believe Simon Says is on tomorrow. It's Thursday. So we're looking for Auntie Jenny and Simon Says. Right? I know Auntie Jenny doesn't take no prisoners. Right? So Simon Says tomorrow night and tomorrow evening. And then tomorrow night, we will be having Talking Points. It's going to be a very, very interesting one. Yeah, I think we might have to peel open one of them envelope. So it's going to be a very interesting one tomorrow night. So that's all the time we have. We are out of here, and everything you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you, and definitely not about you. Love each and every one of you.
Cost of living keep on rising, so could someone try and tell me what is happening? Because yet, them politicians keep wishing for the poor ones they are fighting, but not such a thing. Because every day, when I make a pass by the shop, I could see the price keep going up on the poor ones back. And the wages, like it's mason men that build it, and like no one they can break it, so they condemn me. Because every day, when I make a pass by the shop, I can see the price keep going up on the poor ones back. And the wages, like it's mason men that believe, and like no one they can break it, so they condemn it. Of the poor ones, I would not like to see it in the interest of the rich ones, because they is the one I see keep on owning, while the poor ones keep on grunting, suffering and dying. Because every day when I make a pass by the shop, I could see the price keep going up poor ones plan. And the wages, like it's made cement that believe, and like no one they can break it, so they condemn me. Because every day, when I make a pass by the shop, I can see the price keep going up on the poor ones plan. And the wages, like it's made cement that believe, and like no one they can break it, so they condemn me. Some men only sit down weeping, laughing and believing. Because every day, when I make a pass by the shop, I could see the price keep going up on the poor ones plan. And the wages, like it's made cement that believe, and like no one they can break it, so they condemn me. Because every day, when I make a pass by the shop, I could see the price keep going up on the poor ones plan. And the wages, like it's made cement that believe, and like no one they can break it, so they condemn me. Cause I know I see what happening, and yet still man some of my people just behind them are dogs begging. They cannot see how those vampire society keep on sucking we just because of money. Because every day when I make a pass by the shop, I could see the price keep going up on the poor ones plan. And the wages, like it's made cement that believe, and like no one they can break it, so they condemn me. Because every day when I make a pass by the shop, I could see the price keep going up on the poor ones plan. And the wages, like it's made cement that believe, and like no one they can break it, so they condemn me. Because of opportunity,